Okay, so after our last session, we finished making all of our smart plating, versatile frameworks, and automated wiring. And that means it's time to go ahead and unlock tiers 5 and 6. So let's put this into the space elevator and send it on its way. Once again, this amazingly cool animation. And away it goes. So let's go take a look at what we have now unlocked. Okay, so here we have tiers 5 and 6 finally unlocked. First and foremost, oil processing. This is absolutely critical for further movement through the game. We get plastic and rubber from this, which are extremely useful and are used to make a lot of the higher tier items that we're going to have. There's also a recipe for petroleum coke using the residue from making plastic and rubber. And of course there's also fuel, which you can use for your generators and to fuel your vehicles. Obviously that means it comes with the oil extractor and the refinery. The refinery has a couple of recipes that are going to be relevant to us in the near future as well. So this one is definitely a priority, but it does require motors, which we do not have motor or stator production currently set up at scale. So we're going to have to do that. Next we have industrial manufacturing. This includes the manufacturer, which takes 4 inputs to create an item, and all of the higher tier parts all use this. And of course also the computers, which you can make in there, and the modular engine and adaptive control unit, which we need for phase 3, as you can see in the top corner. We have alternative fluid transport. I don't use this one a lot because it's just the packager and things like that, but the industrial fluid buffer is here, and that is an important milestone. The gas mask will help us safely navigate those green poison areas that I keep getting hit by, but again, not a priority. Efficiency hand checker for the efficiency mod, the upgraded elevator, and vehicle lift, but most importantly, top of my list probably is the teleporter. This will help us get around from base to base really quickly. Again, this is a mod that adds an instant teleporter for you. And what I'm really interested in here, Mark II solar panels. This is probably the first thing I want to do because I want to set up our solar plant. And for that, we're going to need heavy modular frames, which we're going to have to probably make manually to start because we do not have the manufacturer yet. So we'll probably craft up the 50 heavy frames we need manually and make a bunch of these. And maybe we'll do the high-speed connectors as well, but to get the high-speed connectors, as I recall, first we have to unlock some other things, right? Yeah. And then of course tier 6. Expanded power infrastructure gives us the fuel generator for that fuel I just mentioned. Conveyor belt Mark IV, which is really critical. Again, that's going to increase the 480 resources per minute speed there, which is amazing. Conveyor Mark IV lift and Caterium we can already find, so that doesn't really mean anything, but also the jetpack. That's going to make it super easy to move around on the map. And trains. I've never been very good at setting up trains. My last save, I had only just started them before Update 6 came out, so definitely want to explore that more. And then last, our updated pipelines, upgraded pipelines, excuse me, which can do up to 600 meters of fluid per minute, and our upgraded combustion, solution heater, etc. So that's what we're getting out of tier 5 and 6, a whole bunch of things. But like I said, I think we're going to go ahead and work towards the refined solar power plant that we want to build. So yeah, we're going to go off and build a bunch of stuff manually, and we'll see you back here in a bit. Okay, I've gone ahead and made our heavy frames and picked up a bunch of photovoltaic cells and grabbed some quick wire on the way. So let's go ahead and unlock our refined solar panels Mark 2. Okay, perfect. Now let's take a look at one of these solar panels. So of course this is all under refined power, and here is a Mark II solar panel. Now we're going to need a whole bunch more heavy frames to be able to really deploy these at scale, but each of these produces 75 megawatts. That's a lot. That's basically equal to a coal plant all by itself. So we won't need very many of these to really equal what our power output is right now. But I am going to have to build a whole bunch more heavy frames by hand, unfortunately. That's going to take a while. Now, the other really good news is because we set up our photovoltaic cell production about 3 episodes back, I have 2 full industrial containers filled with those. So that's going to be real easy. But for right now, let's go ahead and make some heavy modular frames. And then maybe we can start setting up our initial solar plant. Okay, so here we have our Mark II solar panel. Now, these are super expensive to build, mainly because of those heavy frames, which are extremely difficult. We can't automate those yet, because they have 4 inputs, and that means we don't have that tier constructor yet. But do know that they put out 75 megawatts of power a piece. That is a lot. So I've built enough frames that we can build basically 10 of these, but that's not going to get us where we need. So instead, what we're going to do here is a little trick. I went ahead and unlocked the roofs from our architecture, and then I unlocked our solar roofs on top of that. So, well, the first one's going to be underground, so it's not going to count. So let me just delete that. But so here's the standard fix-it roof. Now, refined power gives us this solar roof adaptation, and those are super cheap. As you can see right there, it only takes 4 solar panels in addition to the actual cost of the roof itself, which is cheap, 3 concrete. So that's astonishingly cheap. And if we connect that up, you'll see that that roof is producing at about noon 20 megawatts of power. That is a really good value for our money. So 4 of those cost us 12 concrete and 16 solar panels. And if we wire all that up, just like so, did I connect all those? Okay, good. If we wire all that up, that's going to give us more power than we actually got with the previous generator. That's going to give us 1880. So this is really the way that we want to go for our solar plant for now, at least until we get some of the more advanced builds up. However, there is one big drawback, and I think a few of you have probably already guessed it. We're not getting 100% power production 100% of the time. So we need to do 2 things here. We need to deal with the fact that we're going to have lower production in the morning and the evening. We're not going to get a full 20. I think by early morning we're going to be only getting 7 to start, and then up to 10, and then it climbs its way to 20 through the middle part of the day. The other problem is nighttime. Now, nighttime on planet Satisfactory lasts 5 hours. So 5 hours means we need battery backups overnight. And you can see here, I've already done the quick math here. Each of these power storage batteries that we can create holds 100 megawatts worth of power for 1 hour. So 5 times that means we need 5 of these for every 100 megawatts of power that we're going to be using. Now, right now we're producing about 1,800 megawatts, but we're only consuming a little over 1,100, but we still want to build for future. We want to plan out. So that means, by my calculations, we're going to need roughly 18 of these for 1,800 megawatts times 5, which means we need about 90 batteries. And let's just round that up to an even 100 for simplicity of math. That's a decent amount. So I've gone ahead and automated the production of the stators. I said I wasn't going to do that before, but I ran my steel production all the way over to this building here that you can see that I've just stood up, and stators are being built there. Those can be produced relatively quickly, and that's what we're going to need for these batteries more than anything else. We have plenty of frames, we have plenty of wire, so we just need to build out a large battery array. And I'll probably put that right underneath of our solar array. And you know, just for simplicity, it doesn't seem to actually care which direction you point these. It seems to give us the same amount of power regardless of the direction. So I can probably just do a series of roofs like back and forth against each other, kind of like this, over and over again to have this sort of undulating roof, and that'll give us exactly what we need. So if I do a row of basically 5, then that's going to make our math a lot easier. We know that we're going to be doing 100 megawatts per row of 5, and then of course that means we need 18 of these in that direction. Or again, if we want to simplify our math, what we can really do is just do 10 by 10 of these to give us the amount of power that we want. I think that's right? 5 is 100, and yeah, that's right. So a 10 by 10 roof basically gets us the amount of power that we need, for now, at least. That'll give us 2,000 megawatts. So the only thing left to do is to start setting all of this up. And again, this will be a pretty cheap build, but we should be able to do it pretty quickly. So when setting up my solar plant, I discovered an interesting bug with refined power. It seems that out of the 4 different levels of solar roofs that you can create, only the 2 meter and the 4 meter are producing power. And the flat solar panels are also not producing power. I don't know if this is just a problem with the new version, but as you can see here, the normal Mark I solar panel is giving us 0 megawatts. The 4 meter roof gives us almost 20 during the day, which is a whole lot. But yeah, our flat roof doesn't do anything, and our 2 meter roof also, or our 1 meter roof also doesn't do anything. But the 2 meter, although it's not showing it on this screen, is actually giving us almost 20 as well. There we go. Sometimes it just glitches. But that's fascinating. So, as you can see here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 roofs and 1 solar panel. But when we actually check our output here, you see it's only showing 1860. So 1800 is our base from our coal production. So only 3 of those are actually being calculated. So that is a conundrum for us to work out in our build here. Okay, so here we are looking down over our factory setup. We're over here by the hub, sort of, and behind one of our 2 iron plants. I think this is the place that we're going to start building out our solar production. I think this will be close enough to everything that running all of the cabling and everything won't be too much of a pain. And it'll also give us a lot of space here for expansion in both directions. We just need to be able to have 10 foundations in both directions. So I think we're actually going to start back, probably just 1 or 2 here, which puts us a little bit further behind and kind of creeping up on this rock face where our copper production is being placed. But there's also not really anything going on beneath us, where we're going to have to be running a bunch of complicated logistics. We just have that 1 smeltery down there, and that is ideal for this sort of a layout. I'm also thinking I'll stick with the regular foundations, which it looks like I'm probably going to run out of iron plates here pretty quickly, but I think that this is going to be a good starting point. So we're going to go 10 by 10, as mentioned before. 8, 9, 10, like so. And this is going to be our initial layout for our solar panels. At least they will go above where we are right now. This will be where we start building out our batteries. Because, you know, obviously we have basically one battery per square we're going to need, but batteries don't take up a whole square. And just to kind of show you what that would look like, more or less. Again, we don't have the modular frames that we need right now, but if I were just plonking this down, it would go a little something like this. So basically we need 10 there, and then 10 this way, just like here. And yeah, so kind of looks like a mess, but you see it doesn't quite fill up the entire space. But we do need to go get about 1,000 modular frames to be able to do this. We're going to need a whole bunch of copper wire, more than we have, which is why we're doing it over here by our copper production. And of course, we need to go pick up a whole load of stators from our stator plant, which is right there. So let's go do that real quick. Okay, well, my inventory can't hold enough to do all 100 at once. So we're going to do the best that we can here. So I think we'll probably be able to do a fraction of that. Let's see how many we can get. So that's 10 that way. And yeah, it looks like we'll be able to do about 20 there. And then we just need to run back and forth and do that a bunch more times. But you can kind of get an idea of how this is going to go, just like this. So I'm going to keep building the rest of this out, and I'll see you all as soon as all of these batteries are done. Okay, and there we have it. As you can see, 100 batteries all wired up. And that means our total power storage now, as expected here, is 10,000 megawatt hours. That should be a goodly amount. That should get us pretty far here. Now what we have to do is plot our solar panels down. Now, I've put one solar panel in place just to make it real easy for us to do our building here. So we can copy that one, and then we can zoop 10 of these all the way down, just like that. And again, you can see it's automatically going to use the same building type because that's how Zoop works. And then we just repeat the process. So we do 10 more here, zoop. And then we go back up, 10 more here. And just keep working our way down the rows until we have it all taken care of. Okay, and there we go. That should be all 100 of our solar panels. We'll just double check on the end here to make sure that these are all connected. Yes, looks like they are. Okay, wonderful. Now, of course, these have to be wired up as well, and we can do that relatively quickly. Just have to go carefully because they don't give you a visual indicator from the top side that these are wired up. Okay. And there we go. 100 glorious solar panels strewn across this roof. And that's going to be a pretty effective power source. As you can see, we're already getting 17 megawatts here, and it's not even 9:30 in the morning. That's just great. We can totally live with that. Now, I've wired all of these up to Mark II power poles. So the gray pole here connects to the batteries, and the orange pole here connects up to the solar panels. And now we just need to wire these together. Now, one thing I like to do is to make it really easy on myself for future expansion with regard to power management. And the way that I do that is twofold. One, I'm using Mark II power poles, and I'm connecting 5 items off of the head of each. And so since these power poles take 7 connections, that means that you've got an input and an output of the whole system. So you can do a running chain of these down, and then do 5 items on that for each pole. So these first 5 batteries are on this pole, the second 5 batteries are on that pole, and then the same thing here for the solar panels up top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 going to the first pole, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 going to the second pole, and then each of these chains to the next one down from itself all the way down till you get to the end. So that way you can expand in either of these 2 directions, assuming that this is going to be the top corner and that's not going to change. If we do need to change it, we can always just add more poles on this end, and that works pretty well as well. But now what we need to do is have a nice and modular and friendly way to deal with the power management. And so I build a little structure here to do that. And it tends to look, whoops, not like that. Something like this. I like to use beam connectors here and then put in some beams. So these are just painted beams, nothing fancy about it. But I take those painted beams and then I want to stick power outlets on them. So I do use these double wall outlets. And it's best to do this on a wall. It doesn't like it when you don't use a wall. And actually, we're going to have to remove this first. It's not going to let me do it until I have the wall in place. So we have those and a third. Okay, just like that. And then I put my beam back. And as you can see, my beam goes right through. Okay, so just like that, now I have this power connection system, right? And I like to do something like this, where I've got, if I have to do a connection point going in and out, I'll connect them up all across one main. So connect these 2 to the sides, and then I'm going to connect the right one to the batteries, and the left one to the solar. And that means now everything is going to start charging up. But I also have these 3 connection points up front, and all of these can be outputs as well. Now, to keep track of all of this, I like to label things, and we can just use our standard sign labels for that. Actually, I might need the wall back to be able to put the sign label in place. I got too eager in deleting it. Okay, so we take our sign label, our 4-meter one, and we plunk it there. Get rid of that wall, and then we can also move this around with micromanage a little bit. I think, yeah, we want it down like this. Okay, so there we go. And now what I like to do here is, first and foremost, obviously, we know that it's power, so we're going to use the power mark. I'm going to go ahead and make it yellow. Yellowish, yellowish, just to make it a little visually distinct, like that. And then I want to say what each of these is in correspondence to where they sit. So we go ahead and save that, yeah, and you can see we just need to adjust our spacing a little bit here, because of course it's not going to be precise otherwise. There we go. Solar is about lined up. Now we just move over our outlet. Let's call that output. How about that? That might make it easier for people to understand. Output. There we go. Maybe one more space. And then move our batteries over. Maybe not that far. Batteries can come back a little bit. Just a little bit. Perfect. And now you can easily tell what connects to what on the back side of this. So you've got your solar, your output, and your batteries. So we'll then run our main wire off of this single pole here, and this can drop all the way back down, assuming it's not too long of a power pole. Can that go all the way down? I think it can go all the way down. To our main base. Just like so. That's just going to run through the floor there. But I find this is a really neat way to do a very simple input and output system And I'll do this on the front of most of my factories in the future now that we have all of these pieces unlocked, so that you can easily tell what goes what. This is one of my favorite little innovations and tricks. I usually also will do a main power supply room, which we'll probably put actually underneath this, somewhere out in the middle here, so that we can turn on and off all of our various factories from one spot. That's going to make it really, really efficient if we have a problem in our power system to get everything back up and running. Another trick is to make sure that your elevators and teleporters are on a separate power grid, because otherwise you're going to have a bad time trying to get all the way around your base and whatnot. Okay, so to get those power switches that we want, we need to first unlock AI limiters and the Caterium research tree. So we're going to go ahead and unlock that. Great. And now we need to make 50 of those before we can actually use those power switches. So let's see how much AI limiters cost. Oh, just a bunch of quick wire and a bunch of copper sheets. Okay, that didn't take too long. Let's go ahead and research this. Perfect. Now, smart splitters. We might come back for that later. Smart splitters are super helpful for some of the overproduction that we are doing. But let's take a look at our tasty new power switches. They're relatively cheap. They only take one AI limiter to build, a little bit of quick wire, and a little bit of steel beams. And as you can imagine, they just have an input and an output, and you can turn them on and off. It's a super cool little feature. Now, you're probably asking yourself, well, what are we going to do with that? Well, I think what we're going to do is set up a little mini area for power management, as I was mentioning before, a little power supply room. So let's do that real fast. Okay, so I've set up a little 3x3 platform, sort of adjacent to our smeltery and across from our main buildings here. And I'm going to use this as our power management room. Now, this is a little design pattern that I'm still refining. I built this in my last mega build, and I found it extremely useful and convenient, and just kind of made my life a lot easier in most ways. Whoops, I didn't put that where I want it. Because I was constantly expanding my factory, like, rapidly, and that meant all of a sudden I just have too much power going in and out, and I would have to shut things down manually. It was a big pain. Did not like it, would not recommend. There we go. So we have our tiny little box, right? And from here, we're going to want inputs and outputs to be kind of managed somewhat effectively. So I'm going to do it like so. So our mains I kind of want to have coming in off of the back side, and then we'll connect those up all around this frame, so that we can easily manage what's going in and out. Ideally, we'd have some sort of like indicator lights or something that we could use here. I really wish Satisfactory just had a very, very simple small light that you could then turn on and off, but it does not have that. So we will do without. Okay, so we've got two main sources of power right now, so I'm going to put two different mains coming in, right? And we are going to label those as we go, again, so that we don't lose track of what we are doing. Okay, so same trick as before, right? We're going to use the power symbol. We're going to go ahead and make these yellow just because we can. Just like that. And we're going to do our labeling. So on the left, we have our solar. And then all the way on the right, we have coal. Just like that. Okay, and that makes it easy enough to understand where this power is coming in from. Now, it's a question of where our power is going out to. We need some sort of a naming structure for our building to make this easy to understand what's happening. So we're not going to worry about perfect naming right now, but that is something we're going to have to start thinking about here pretty darn soon. But for right now, let's just get some things plonked down. So both of these lines coming in should then become part of the main power grid. But we do want to have a way of turning each of those off and on as well. So I'm going to put our main right in between. And I'm going to put power switches down right next to those. Just like so. And it's okay if it clips the wall. It doesn't really worry me at this point. You can see it kind of sticks out there. I might go ahead and bring them forward just a little bit using micromanage, which is, again, what micromanage is great at. So we turn that into teeny tiny movements. And then we do, whoop, that's down. Just bring them out of the wall just a little bit. Just before it starts to clip into our sign. Okay, so now our coal and solar will each connect to one of these. And then our power off of these outputs will go to the main, which is in the front there. Let's go ahead and configure the sign and make sure that we know what's going on. That's our main, just like that. Solar, main, coal. Easy enough. You know what? We're also just going to bring this up a little bit. And why not? We'll bring it forward. There we go. Perfect. Now you can easily tell what's going on, and you've got these switches. We can turn on each of these, like so. Okay, so that means now our main should be bringing in our full power. Okay, so from our main, we then want to run all the way around the building with our various things that we would be turning on and off all around our factory. It can sometimes be helpful to lay this out similar to how the factory is actually laid out, just for simplicity. Also keep in mind that you can only connect a certain number of things off of these Mark 1 outlets, so we need room for expansion. So this is going to be our sort of our expansion wall over here. As we grow, we'll keep running these down like so, and eventually we'll upgrade those so we don't have to worry about it. So we'll do 1 there, and we'll give it a little bit of room, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so the trick here with running it through this sort of a system is that you're going to have a lot of duplicative wires, and I just want to say that up front. We are very deliberately doing duplicative builds across this whole thing. And actually, I guess it really doesn't matter which is input and which is output here. So running these off of the top here. 2. I think we can only get... Nope, we can't get any more off that, but it doesn't really matter. Put this in the B position of that one. And then here. Okay, like that. Now this spaghetti of wires will rapidly start making sense. Okay, so the first thing that we want to connect over here is our iron production over on this side. So iron production 1, we'll call that, okay? Connect that up, save it, good. So you can see it says iron production 1. Now, to make that do something, we need to connect the output off of this line back to this like mini base that we have set up over here. And we're going to do that just like this by connecting it into this power line here. Now, I'm going to temporarily disconnect off of our solar, and I'm going to bring our solar in separately. Again, remember we have a whole separate line just for solar, and we're going to take advantage of that. So I'm going to put the first one down here, and then I'm going to run this into my solar line here. Okay, so this should be getting power, as you can see now, and that's the main source of our solar power coming off of that. And that's going right into this local grid that we have set up here. Now, at this point, we want to decentralize our grids. So I'm actually going to disconnect this grid from everything else in the base now. So pull this off, and I'm also going to pull it off on these other 2 sides. Disconnect that one as well, just like that, and pull this down. So this is now completely self-contained. That does also mean, though, I just disconnected from all of our coal power that comes in. So we need to reconnect that, which we do by bringing it into our coal input on this side. Okay, so most of our base is going to be shutting down right now because we have disconnected everything from everything. Now we want to just repeat that process over and over again for the rest of our factory components here. Okay, and there we have it. So we've now wired up all of our various production off of this power grid. Now, this is only for this local area off of the main grid. We'll probably want to build one of these power stations near every central warehouse area that we've got. So you can see tier 1 iron production over there, our concrete production way off behind our hub, copper production way off behind our hub, iron production 1 right behind us here in that big building. Transportation is for a separate line that we use for every single one of our elevators, and our transporters eventually as well. We'll also use those. So those are off of the main. That's totally separate. And then we have tier 2 iron production over here in the near building, and then iron and steel items like our various stators and whatnot in the new building that we just built over here up there on that platform. Now, I want to show off one or two other really quick things just to show you how all of this comes together, and I'll do this off of our tier 1 iron production building. So just to keep all of this straight, I like to make sure that the name on that power switch matches the one that I'm putting a label in the building for, so it's easy to tell what goes with what. And I also put what items on these small signs are being produced in a given building. And then I also have all of the lines coming in on the side of the building with a diagram showing what's what. So the transportation, this elevator platform is coming off of this one, and the main line coming in is the other one, so that goes up and in to the rest of the base. And so I do that on every single one of these facilities, so it's really easy to keep track of where the power is being managed. Similarly, for the storage building, I do the same thing. I give it a name, storage A. This doesn't do production, so we don't have to worry about that. And then each of the items being stored in the building is listed on the front of the building. Again, that just makes it really quick and easy to find your way around if you can't remember how you laid a thing out. And that'll do it. Now you have this nice little power station that you can hop into. And again, if things get out of control, you can just really easily come in here and turn on and off an entire section of the base without having to think too hard about like what's going on and disconnecting wires and whatnot. So that is it. So yeah, we have our solar panels up here at the top and our batteries set up. We have our power station here set up. I'd say this is a pretty good episode. We got a lot of really great stuff done. We've been talking about, basically since the first episode is about using all this refined power for solar. So I'm really excited that that's all online now. And now that means that we can repurpose some of our coal production for other uses, and we can also move on to our plastic and rubber production now that we have more than enough electricity to deal with that. But we're not going to do that this episode. We'll save that for next episode. So thank you all again for joining us here on Enterprise Architecture, and we'll see you back here next time. Bye, friends.